Federal officials are warning you to throw away or return certain Walmart pasta meals. That's because they may be contaminated with Listeria bacteria.
You crack open a can expecting warm, nostalgic pasta. Instead, you're staring at sugar-thick tomato sauce, rubbery noodles, and meat that tastes like it came from a lab. These family favorites are really salt bombs that push blood pressure, stress kidneys, and wreck your health. We're counting down 7 canned pastas to avoid at all costs, and 2 that are actually safe, starting with a bargain brand that's more chemistry set than dinner. At number 7, Bon Italia spaghetti and meatballs. Pasta that looks like comfort food but eats like a science project. The can promises a hearty meal with meatballs and real pasta. The label flashes 10 grams of protein per serving, and at first glance it feels like a budget-friendly dinner. But that promise collapses fast. What you actually get is soy-packed filler, high-fructose corn syrup in the sauce, and meatballs that taste like they were glued together in a factory. Open the can and you'll notice it. The sauce isn't rich red, it's glossy, sticky, and a little too sweet for something that calls itself dinner. The texture? Slimy. The noodles slide around like they've been soaking in syrup. The meatballs crumble into mush with a strange aftertaste that screams chemicals, not beef. Here's the kicker. 620 milligrams of sodium and 10 grams of sugar per cup. That's almost half the daily sugar limit for women in what should be a savory meal. For seniors, it's even worse. Sodium at that level pushes blood pressure higher, straining the heart and kidneys. Add sugar on top, and you've got a one-way ticket to blood sugar spikes and afternoon crashes. Would you call this dinner or dessert in disguise? And let's not forget the fillers. The meatballs aren't just beef and pork, they're loaded with textured soy protein. Cheap filler that dietitians have linked to inflammation. Flavorings, preservatives, and seed oils complete the picture. This isn't pasta for the family. It's shelf-stable junk built to last years in a warehouse. High fructose corn syrup is banned from certain school lunch programs in Europe, yet here it's still pumped into canned pasta for kids. Why are Americans the testing ground? If you grew up eating this, you probably remember the smell. Tomato sauce mixed with something sharp and artificial. It's the kind of smell that clings to the can opener and makes the whole kitchen feel off. So what's the fix? Skip Bon Italia entirely. If you want canned pasta that won't wreck your health, go for Annie's Organic Bernio's. Still rings and sauce, but organic. No high fructose corn syrup and lower sodium. It's not gourmet, but at least it doesn't taste like sugar-coated glue. But before we jump into 6, don't forget to subscribe for more tips to shop and eat smarter. Sliding in at number 6, Kroger spaghetti and meatballs, where pasta meets lab experiment. The label promises hearty spaghetti with meatballs, a quick family meal that's satisfying and convenient. But peel back the can and what you actually get is a chemistry set in tomato sauce. Processed soy isolates, synthetic emulsifiers, caramel color, and enough salt to pickle a cucumber. Take the meatballs. They're not tender. They're not juicy. They're rubbery spheres built with textured vegetable protein, soy protein concentrate, and soy protein isolate. 3 different fillers stacked to stretch cheap meat. Bite into one, and it chews like a sponge soaked in ketchup. The FDA allows these additives, but dietitians warn that soy isolates, this process can cause inflammation when eaten often. The sauce doesn't save it either. Instead of rich tomato flavor, it's propped up with high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, and natural flavorings, which is code for a chemical cocktail they don't want to list. One serving has 750 milligrams of sodium and 7 grams of sugar. That's over 30% of your daily salt allowance and a teaspoon and a half of added sugar, hidden inside a savory meal. More chemicals than a school science kit. For seniors, this mix is a trap. Salt like this spikes blood pressure. Sugar spikes blood sugar. Add in the junk oils like soybean oil, inflammatory fats, and you've got a perfect storm for anyone on heart meds or managing kidney issues. And the saddest part? Kroger markets this as a warm family dinner. In reality, it's closer to a canned salt lick dressed up with noodles. Europe has stricter labeling laws. In the UK, caramel color used at this level has warnings about potential carcinogens. Here in the US, it slides right into your pantry without so much as a label note. The texture makes the betrayal even worse. The noodles are mushy, overcooked long before the can ever hits the shelf. They clump together like paste, swimming in sauce that tastes more like corn syrup than tomato. So if you need a quick canned option, reach for Amy's Organic Ravioli instead. Still convenient, but organic, lower sodium, and without the fake additives. It's not perfect, but at least it's real food. Crashing in at number 5, Chef Boyardee Jumbo Spaghetti and Meatballs, the so-called childhood favorite that turns nostalgia into a health hazard. The label beams with confidence. No artificial flavors, no artificial preservatives, no artificial colors. It sounds wholesome. Safe, something you could hand to your kid without thinking twice. But open that can, and the truth slaps you in the face like a cloud of metallic steam. The meatballs? Slimy orbs that smell faintly of tin. Bite into one, and you don't get tenderness. You get a gummy texture that clings to your teeth like paste. The pasta noodles are bloated, swollen from sitting in sauce for months, maybe years. And the sauce? More salt and syrup than tomato. Let's talk numbers. 1 cup serving of this jumbo treat carries 700 milligrams of sodium. That's 29% of the daily sodium cap for most adults, or nearly 46% for seniors with blood pressure or kidney issues, according to the American Heart Association. And that's just one serving. Most people eat the whole can, doubling the damage before they even realize it. Is it pasta? Or a salt lick in disguise? The sugar is no better. 8 grams per serving, hidden behind high fructose corn syrup and caramel color. That's the same junk sweetener the FDA has linked to obesity, insulin resistance, and long-term metabolic issues. Pair that with layered salt sources, sea salt, garlic salt, Romano cheese, plain salt, and you've got a sodium bomb dressed up like dinner. And here's the kicker, the no artificial preservatives claim. Technically true, but deeply misleading, because while they ditch a few outdated preservatives, they swap in modern additives and processing tricks that stretch shelf life just the same. Flavorings, modified cheeses, and emulsifiers keep this product stable for years. It's like calling a wolf safe because you dressed it in sheep's wool. For seniors, this is dangerous fuel. High sodium loads like this send blood pressure through the roof. Pair it with sugar and seed oils, and you're looking at a meal that actively works against heart meds, kidney function, and healthy weight management. If you want a quick canned pasta, look at Annie's Organic Bernie O's. Same ring-shaped fun, fewer additives, lower sodium, and no high fructose corn syrup. Still not perfect, but way closer to real food. At number 4, we land on Campbell's SpaghettiOs, the canned classic with a jingle kids still hum, but a recipe that should make adults nervous. It's marketed as fun, friendly, a quick dinner for picky eaters. But pop the lid, and what you actually get is a bowl of noodles floating in liquid sugar dressed up as tomato sauce. The betrayal is right there on the spoon. Those bright little pasta rings look harmless, but the texture tells another story. They're gummy, slippery, and oddly soft, like they've been soaking in syrup. The sauce stains everything it touches, bowls, spoons, even teeth, with a cloying sweetness that lingers long after the bite is gone. And here's the number that should stop you cold. 12 grams of added sugar in a single cup. That's more sugar than some candy bars. The FDA recommends women keep added sugars under 25 grams per day and men under 36 grams. One serving of SpaghettiOs eats up half that allowance before you even hit dessert. Then there's the sodium, 600 milligrams per cup. Not as shocking as some others on this list, but still a hefty load, especially for seniors managing blood pressure or kidney disease. And remember, most people eat more than a cup. You finish the can, you're doubling the damage. Dessert in disguise served in a bowl. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry set. High fructose corn syrup near the top, refined enriched pasta stripped of nutrients, corn and soybean oils, enzyme-modified cheeses, and the vague, natural flavors that can hide a dozen synthetic chemicals. All this for what's supposed to be a child's meal. Why does it matter? Because kids learn taste preferences early. Feed them sugar-laced pasta that's closer to a donut in disguise, and you set them up for cravings, weight gain, and poor metabolic health later. For seniors, that sugar hit drives insulin spikes, while the sodium works against heart meds. A dangerous combo hidden in a cartoon-friendly can. Some European countries regulate sugar and additives in children's foods more strictly. Products like SpaghettiOs are safer in Europe, but here in the US, they remain a pantry staple. So what's the safer swap? Amy's Organic Ravioli. Still convenient, still canned, but lower sodium, no high fructose corn syrup, and real organic ingredients you can pronounce. Not perfect, but far better than sugar rings in tomato candy sauce. And if SpaghettiOs rot your teeth, the next one clogs your arteries. Cracking into the top 3, we've got Chef Boyardee beef ravioli, or should we say mystery pouch pasta. On the label, it's marketed as a hearty beef meal, a quick, filling dinner for busy families. But open the can, and what you actually get looks closer to pet food. The pasta is mushy, the sauce is watery, and the beef filling? Gray, pasty, and with a chemical smell that clings to the fork. Ever tasted beef that feels like paste? The betrayal starts with the meat. The label says beef, but what's inside is often GMO, low-grade, and mixed with fillers like soy protein concentrate. Add in high fructose corn syrup, seed oils like soybean oil, and you've got a product designed for shelf life, not nourishment. One dietitian even flagged it as a cocktail of ultra-processed ingredients. Then look at the nutrition panel. 1 cup has just 1 gram of fiber. That's nothing for a meal that's supposed to keep you full. Protein clocks in at 5 grams, about what you'd get from a handful of peanuts. Meanwhile, the sodium and sugar add up fast, thanks to tomato puree bulked up with corn syrup and modified starch. Multiple chemical preservatives and flavorings are tucked into that ingredient list. The FDA may allow them, but safe limits don't mean safe when you're eating them regularly. European regulators, for example, limit certain food colorings and additives in kids' foods that are still legal in U.S. cans like this. Safer overseas, cheaper here. Now, picture this for seniors. Sodium drives up blood pressure, working against heart medications. Sugar spikes worsen insulin resistance. Seed oils contribute to inflammation and poor cholesterol. A single serving might not kill you, but eat this twice a week and it's a slow grind on your health. But here's the real shocker. It's still sold everywhere. Walmart, Target, dollar stores, shelves stacked high, feeding the cycle of cheap and easy over safe and nourishing. So what's the fix? If you want ravioli from a can, reach for Amy's organic ravioli instead. It costs a little more, but it's made with organic tomatoes, real cheese, and far less sodium. It's not perfect, but it won't leave you chewing through gray paste. Runner-up horror show, great value macaroni and beef. Cheap in price, and just as cheap in quality. It's marketed as a hearty, affordable dinner. Walmart's label makes it sound like a budget-friendly way to feed the family. But open the can, and you're met with a sad slurry of watery beef bits, sticky orange sauce, and macaroni that tastes like it was boiled 3 weeks ago. The smell? A mix of tin, salt, and something faintly sour that lingers long after the plate is empty. Budget meal or health hazard in a can? Let's talk numbers. A single can packs 1,230 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half of the recommended daily limit in one sitting, according to the American Heart Association. For seniors managing blood pressure or kidney issues, that level of salt isn't just concerning, it's dangerous. Pair it with the 47 grams of carbs and 11 grams of sugar, and you've basically got a salt and sugar cocktail disguised as dinner. The betrayal is in the marketing. They call it macaroni and beef, but the beef is so scarce you'd need a magnifying glass to find it. The sauce, thickened with modified food starch and corn syrup, clings to the pasta like glue. It's sticky, gummy, and leaves a weird aftertaste that feels more chemical than culinary. One Reddit user compared it to eating wet cardboard soaked in ketchup water. But here's the real shocker. This can cost under $1. That low price keeps people tossing it in their carts without thinking. For families on a budget, it looks like a solution. In reality, it's loading them with additives, corn syrup, and enough sodium to send their hearts racing. The FDA may allow it, but ask any European shopper, and you won't find this kind of over-salted corn syrup-heavy pasta as a regular shelf staple overseas. Cheaper regulations here mean Americans pay for it with their health. And for seniors, high sodium works directly against blood pressure meds. Extra sugar worsens diabetes risks. The low protein and lack of fiber mean you're hungry again in an hour. It's not nourishment. It's filler dressed up as food. So if you need canned pasta on a budget, Annie's Organic Bernie O's is a safer bet. It's still shelf-stable, but it skips the high-fructose corn syrup and cuts the sodium. You get actual pasta rings that don't feel like gummy worms in tomato sludge. Taking the #1 worst spot, Chef Boyardee mac and cheese is the sodium bomb disguised as comfort food. The can promises warm, cheesy satisfaction. You expect creamy sauce and tender pasta. What you actually get is a neon orange sludge-coating rubbery noodles with a greasy film floating on top like a crime scene. Pop the lid, and the smell hits you first. Sharp, artificial, almost metallic. It clings to the air and makes the whole kitchen feel fake. Mac and cheese or heart attack starter pack? Let's get real. One can contains 1,320 milligrams of sodium. That's 88% of the daily recommended limit in just one sitting. For seniors on blood pressure meds or with kidney concerns, that level of salt is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Add to it 17 grams of fat, 7 grams saturated, and you're already pushing the American Heart Association's limit for the day. And here's the betrayal. They market it as a wholesome, filling meal. But look at the back label. There are 27 different additives hiding inside. Modified starches, artificial colorants, seed oils, flavor enhancers. It's not food, it's a chemistry experiment. The calories? A whopping 410 per can, with almost no vitamins, minerals, or fiber to balance it out. The FDA might sign off on it, but in Europe, products this overloaded with additives wouldn't fly off shelves so easily. Even the texture betrays you. The pasta turns gummy within minutes, sticking together in lumps, while the sauce congeals into a rubbery orange crust. One former buyer described it online as plastic noodles in salty glue. Hard to argue with that. For seniors especially, the risks are immediate. Too much sodium spikes blood pressure, working against heart meds. The saturated fats put strain on the arteries, and because there's little protein or fiber, you're left unsatisfied and reaching for more junk an hour later. It's a vicious cycle, and Chef Boyardee knows it. They bank on nostalgia to keep people buying. So here's the alternative. Look for Amy's organic macaroni and cheese bowl in the freezer aisle. It has lower sodium, actual cheese, and ingredients you can pronounce. Not perfect, but worlds safer than this can of orange regret. But don't panic. This countdown doesn't end on a sour note. There are actually 2 canned pastas that pass the test, and they'll restore your faith that not everything in a can is a health trap. Bonus. Pick number 1, Annie's Organic Bernios, proof that not every pasta ring is a heart trap in disguise. Here's the shocker. It looks almost the same as SpaghettiOs at first glance, but the difference is in what you don't taste. No chemical afterburn, no syrupy sweetness, no weird gummy noodles sticking to your spoon like glue. Instead, you get a tomato sauce that's bright, clean, and balanced. The pasta actually holds its shape without collapsing into mush. Finally, pasta that doesn't stab your heart. This one earns its spot because the label tells the truth. Annie's uses organic wheat pasta, organic tomato puree, and spices you can recognize. There's no high fructose corn syrup, no synthetic dyes, no hidden MSG. It's not perfect, but compared to the salt and sugar sludge in other cans, this feels like real food. And the health numbers? A single cup of Bernios has around 470 milligrams of sodium, nearly half of what Campbell's SpaghettiOs packs in the same portion. For seniors watching blood pressure, that difference matters. It means enjoying comfort food without pushing yourself to the ER. Plus, you actually get 3 grams of dietary fiber, something missing in most canned pastas. Fiber keeps digestion moving and helps regulate sugar spikes. But here's the real shocker, the taste test. Parents in reviews say their kids don't notice the switch from SpaghettiOs, while adults say it feels lighter and less greasy. One shopper wrote, "It's the only canned pasta I don't feel guilty about giving my grandkids." That's a big statement in a sea of processed cans. So why doesn't every brand do this? Because cutting out corn syrup and chemical shortcuts costs more. Annie's charges a bit higher, but what you're buying is peace of mind. And for seniors juggling meds, heart health, or kidney issues, that peace of mind is worth the extra dollar or two. And if you still want a practical fix, keep a few cans of Bernios for emergencies, but add steamed vegetables or grilled chicken on the side. It balances the meal, stretches the portion, and keeps sodium intake in check. The bottom line? Annie's Bernios shows canned pasta doesn't have to mean chemical soup. It can actually taste decent and keep your health intact. And if Annie's gets the job done, wait until you see how Amy's takes it even further. Closing it out with bonus pick number 2, Amy's Organic Pasta, the rare can you actually don't regret opening. Think about that for a second. After 9 straight cans of sodium sludge and rubber noodles, we finally land on one that tastes like food instead of a lab experiment. Amy's doesn't play the same game as Chef Boyardee or Great Value. No radioactive orange sauce. No greasy film floating on top, just real pasta in real tomato sauce. Not every can is a trap. The secret is simple: organic ingredients, fewer additives, and balanced macros. Amy's lists what's inside in plain English. Organic semolina pasta, organic tomato puree, olive oil, garlic, and onions. That's it. No high fructose corn syrup, no monosodium glutamate, no chemical flavor enhancers that leave you burping up regret. And here's the part seniors need to hear. A serving of Amy's organic pasta runs around 560 milligrams of sodium, compared to Chef Boyardee mac and cheese at 1,320 milligrams. That's less than half. For anyone with high blood pressure or kidney strain, that gap is the difference between a meal and a medical bill. Protein is higher too, usually 9 to 10 grams per cup, and fiber sits at a steady 4 grams, which keeps blood sugar from spiking. It actually tastes like something you'd cook at home. The sauce isn't syrupy sweet, and the pasta isn't slimy. Reviewers call it the only canned pasta that doesn't taste canned. One even joked, "If you dump it in a bowl and sprinkle Parmesan, nobody knows it came from a can." That's not marketing, that's lived experience. So why doesn't every brand follow Amy's lead? Because quality costs. Amy's cans are more expensive, sometimes double the price of bargain brands. But you're paying for safety. The FDA might allow certain additives here, but the same colors and stabilizers are banned in Europe. Amy's skips them entirely, which is why the taste feels cleaner. Would you rather save $1 now or save your arteries later? Tell us below. Here's the fix. Keep Amy's cans on hand for those nights when cooking isn't happening. Pair with a side salad or roasted veggies, and you've got a meal that won't wreck your blood pressure. No greasy surprises, no chemical hangover. Bottom line, Amy's proves canned pasta doesn't have to mean garbage. It can be safe, filling, and, dare we say, enjoyable. Now you know which cans to trash and which ones deserve a spot in your pantry. Thanks for watching. What's the worst canned pasta you've ever cracked open? Drop it in the comments, name and shame. Want to know which frozen meals are basically chemical labs in a box? Click it on the left. And don't forget to subscribe for more food truths.